A goal properly set is halfway reached. That's the foundation. And it's true every time. If you don't know how to set goals the right way, you're going to waste your time, your energy, and your effort. You'll start strong, lose track, and wonder why nothing changes. That's what happens when the goal is vague, the plan is missing, and there's no system to follow. This video is not about hype. It's about structure. It's about getting clear on what you want, why you want it, and what to do every single day to move closer to it. Most people don't fail because they lack desire. They fail because they don't know the steps. They've never been shown how to build a real goal from the ground up. So in this video, we're going to break it all down, step by step. No fluff, no guesswork. Just real, clear, daily actions you can take to create results. If you've ever felt stuck, distracted, or like you start strong but don't finish, then this is the lesson you've needed. Watch it all the way through. Because once you understand how to set goals properly, one step at a time, you'll stop hoping for success and start creating it. Number 1, clarify exactly what you want with total honesty. If you want to change your life, if you want to set goals that actually mean something, the very first step is to get honest with yourself. I'm talking about real honesty, the kind that makes you stop everything and ask the hard questions. What do you really want? Not what your friends want for you, not what society says you should chase. What do you want? This is where most people never get it right. They don't stop long enough to face the truth. They rush into goals they don't even care about. They write down things that sound good but feel empty. They talk about dreams they're not even serious about. And that's why year after year, they stay stuck. No progress, no results, just motion without direction. You've got to take the time to clarify. Not just think, not just guess, clarify. That means sit with yourself, away from the noise, and ask the most important question you'll ever ask in life. What do I really want? Now don't rush your answer. This isn't a race. This is your life. You don't need 10 goals. You need one honest one. One goal that actually matters. One goal that would make you feel proud if you accomplished it. One goal that would make you feel alive again. That's the goal you write down, and it needs to come from your gut, not just your head. Maybe you want to be financially independent. Maybe you want to lose the weight and finally feel strong in your body. Maybe you want to build something of your own so you never have to depend on anyone again. Maybe you want peace because your life's been full of chaos. I don't know what it is for you, but you know, deep down you know. And if you don't know, then you haven't asked yourself seriously yet. That's the work. Get alone. No phone, no distraction. Take out a blank sheet of paper and write at the top, what do I want for my life? Then write. And don't stop until it feels real. Keep writing. Not what sounds impressive, what feels true. Because if your goal isn't clear, your actions will always be random. And when your actions are random, your results will always be frustrating. You'll work hard, but feel stuck. You'll try, but not see progress. That's what happens when the goal isn't honest. Now, once you have the answer, something happens. You'll feel it. You'll feel a bit nervous, maybe even scared. That's a good sign. That means the goal is real. Real goals will always shake you a little, because now, it's not just a wish, it's a commitment. You just told yourself the truth. And once you do that, the excuses start to lose power. Most people are afraid to be honest, because deep down they know what they want, but they're scared. They might not get it, so they play it safe. They lie to themselves. They aim low so they don't feel the sting of failure. And that's the real danger. Not failure, but living with no direction. So I say forget what others think. Forget the fear. This is your life. No one's going to live it for you. No one's going to hand it to you. You've got to take control. And the first step is clarity. You know what else clarity does? It gives you energy. When you're clear, you wake up with a reason. You walk differently. You talk with purpose. You don't get distracted by every shiny thing. You stay focused. That's the power of knowing what you want. But when you don't know what you want, everything pulls you. You scroll too long. You hang around people who waste your time. You say yes to things you don't care about. And at the end of the day, you feel empty. Not because you didn't do anything, but because you didn't do anything that mattered. That's what a lack of clarity costs you. Time, energy, life. So the first step is not action. It's not motivation. It's not inspiration. It's clarity. Once you've got that, you've got direction. Once you've got direction, you can create a plan. And once you've got a plan, you can act with purpose. But it all starts with the truth. What do you want? Why does it matter? And what are you willing to stop doing so that this becomes real? Be honest. You owe yourself that much. Don't write what sounds right. Write what's right for you. This is your life. No one else can live it right for you. Don't wait until you're older. Don't wait until you're in pain. Don't wait until the opportunity is gone. Clarity comes from decision, and decision comes from courage. Have the courage to stop, reflect, and answer the question. Because once you know what you want, you stop drifting. You stop settling. You stop explaining. You stop chasing things that don't matter. And you finally start living a life that means something to you. And when you do that, everything starts to change. Not overnight, but with time, with focus, with daily action. It begins with clarity. And clarity starts with telling yourself the truth. So if you want to set real goals that actually work, stop everything. Sit down and get honest. Your future depends on what you decide right now. Don't lie to yourself another day. Get clear, and make that clarity your foundation for the rest of your life. Number 2, set a real deadline that forces daily commitment. If you're going to set goals that change your life, you need to stop treating them like casual ideas. The turning point is when you attach a real deadline to what you want. Not a soft date, a real one. A date that demands something from you every day. Because without that, your goal has no weight. It becomes optional. And when things are optional, they get delayed. That's how goals fade. Not from lack of desire, but from lack of structure. A deadline gives your goal a spine. It makes it strong enough to compete with your distractions. A real deadline removes the luxury of waiting. It pushes you into motion. It creates pressure, not the kind that breaks you, but the kind that keeps you focused. It gives your brain a clear signal that this matters now, not someday. You stop putting things off. You stop lying to yourself that you'll do it later. The moment a finish line is visible, your actions become intentional. You wake up knowing what needs to be done. And that's where momentum starts, not in the big moments, but in the small daily steps done on time. Deadlines expose your habits. Once you commit to a goal with a deadline, you'll notice how often you waste time. You'll become aware of where you delay, where you hesitate, where you avoid discomfort. That awareness is uncomfortable, but it's powerful. You begin to make different decisions because now every day counts. You start choosing discipline over delay. You stop giving your time away to distractions. This isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming honest. Honest with your time. Honest with your effort. Honest about what it takes to move one step closer. Daily. Most people avoid deadlines because they don't want the responsibility. They want the reward, but they avoid the demand. But the truth is, nothing worthwhile gets built without pressure. And deadlines create that pressure. They force you to prioritize. They help you say no to things that don't serve your goal. That kind of pressure reveals your true character. Are you serious or just interested? Are you committed or just curious? A real deadline will bring that answer out quickly. It's not meant to scare you. It's meant to sharpen you. The most productive people you see aren't always the smartest. They just use their time better. And one reason they use it better is because they always know what date they're working toward. That date keeps their energy focused. It prevents drifting. It eliminates lazy thinking. They don't wait for motivation. They follow a clock that's ticking. That ticking keeps them sharp. It drives their pace. It gives them a reason to begin, even when they don't feel like it. And that's what you need if you're tired of starting things you never finish. When you set a clear deadline, something shifts in your attitude. You no longer think in circles. You think in action. You break the goal into daily chunks. You become intentional with your hours. You move from talking about your goals to actually executing them. This shift builds confidence. You start to believe in yourself again, not because of results yet, but because you're showing up on time. You're doing what needs to be done, not when it's easy, but when it's scheduled. That kind of discipline builds internal power. You stop hoping. You start owning. The deadline doesn't just guide your time. It defines your standard. It says, this is the level I expect from myself now. No more coasting, no more drifting. You start managing your life differently. You plan your days around what matters. You use your time like it counts, because it does. Time is not unlimited. It's running whether you manage it or not. A deadline helps you respect that reality. It teaches you to be direct, to act sooner, to push yourself past convenience. You stop waiting for more time. You start using what you have with urgency. When you don't have a deadline, your goal stays vague, and vague goals don't inspire action. They don't challenge you. They don't stretch your habits. A real deadline turns something general into something exact, and that exactness fuels action. You stop second guessing. You stop over planning. You start doing, and every day becomes measurable. You know whether you're on track or behind. That data holds you accountable, and accountability builds growth. Without it, you stay in the same place, busy, tired, but unchanged. You weren't lazy, you were unclear. A deadline clears the fog. It's not about adding stress. It's about adding urgency. Goals without deadlines drift. They stay nice ideas. They stay locked in journals. But goals with deadlines become plans. They get scheduled. They get executed. That's how things get done. Real progress is built when you set a deadline, break it down, and show up day after day to match the timeline. You stop relying on emotion and start relying on commitment. This is where consistency is born. From knowing what's due, when it's due, and doing what it takes to get it done. You don't need more motivation to achieve your goals. You need structure. You need a finish date, one that matters enough to get you moving, and close enough to hold your focus. So pick your goal, set the deadline, make it visible, review it daily, use it to guide every action. Let it remove the distractions. Let it organize your mind. Let it force you to act even on days when it's tough. That's how you build discipline. That's how you build momentum. And that's how you turn a goal into a result. One day, one step, one deadline at a time. Number 3. Break the goal into specific, measurable daily actions. When you set a goal, the next critical step is to break it down into specific actions you can take every day. That's where real progress begins. A big goal without daily structure will only overwhelm you. You'll think about it, but you won't act. You'll feel motivated for a few days, then stop, because there's no direction. That's what happens when the goal is too broad. The solution is simple. Turn that goal into small, measurable steps that you can track. This brings clarity to your days and eliminates guesswork. You stop wondering what to do and start doing it. The mistake many people make is they write down the goal but leave the process blank. They expect results without knowing what actions lead there. You can't control the outcome, but you can control your actions. And those actions must be broken into small, specific steps. For example, if the goal is to get fit, the actions might be drink 3 liters of water, walk 30 minutes, and prepare 1 healthy meal. These aren't ideas. They're tasks. You either complete them or you don't. That clarity brings accountability. It removes vague ambition and replaces it with focused behavior. Daily measurable actions protect you from wasting time on tasks that look useful but lead nowhere. Without this structure, your day gets filled with distractions that feel productive. You clean your desk, check emails, and stay busy, but you don't move closer to your goal. Specific actions keep your energy pointed at results. You don't start your day guessing. You follow a plan. You know what matters and ignore what doesn't. That's how time gets used wisely. Not by staying busy, but by staying targeted on the actions that matter most. You also build confidence when you take daily steps and measure them. There's no better feeling than looking at the end of your day and knowing you followed through. You didn't just think about progress, you lived it. This makes your self-respect grow. You begin to trust yourself again. You stop needing motivation to act because your system is strong. You know the step. You do the step. That's what builds momentum. One day leads to another. Progress compounds. And soon, the goal that once felt out of reach starts to come closer and closer. It's important to write these actions down the night before. If you wake up without a clear plan, the day will control you. You'll drift. You'll waste time on things that don't matter. But when your actions are on paper, your job becomes simple. Follow them. Start with no more than 3 key actions per day. Each action should be tied directly to the goal. No fluff, no busy work, just the things that move the needle, and keep them small enough that you can't make excuses. Small wins are better than skipped days. Measurable daily steps also reveal where your plan needs adjusting. If you're doing the actions and nothing is changing, it's a signal. It means the steps may need to be improved. That feedback is helpful. It keeps your process alive. You're not stuck hoping things work. You're tracking and learning. That's how smart people move. They don't wait for the perfect plan. They act, track, and refine. Each day teaches them something. And the more they learn, the more efficient they become. This is how results are created, through constant daily action and clear review. Breaking goals down also teaches discipline. Every time you complete a task, you train your mind to stay on track. You develop a habit of following through. This discipline spills into every part of your life. You start respecting time more. You start valuing effort more. You see how daily behavior builds long-term success. This creates a shift in how you think. You stop chasing quick wins and start playing the long game. That shift is powerful. It turns you from a person who hopes into a person who builds, and that changes everything. You don't need to complicate this process. Keep it simple. Choose the goal, set the deadline, then list the small actions that move you forward every day. Put them on paper, make them visible, follow them no matter what. If you miss a day, don't hide. Review it, get back on track the next day. This is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. One bad day doesn't ruin your goal, but giving up does. Stay in the process. Trust the system. You'll grow stronger the more you follow through. Many people overthink the journey. They look too far ahead and get overwhelmed by everything they haven't done. That's why daily actions are powerful. They keep your eyes on what you can do now. Not next month, not next year, just today. What can you control today? That's the question. And when you answer it with real action, your confidence grows. You stop overanalyzing and start moving. The mind becomes quieter, the days become clearer, and your energy becomes focused on progress, not perfection. To succeed, you don't need to do everything. You just need to do something that matters every day. Break the goal down until it feels manageable. Measure it so you know whether it's getting done. Let those steps become your daily rhythm. And when you look back in a few months, you'll see what most people never see. Real results from consistent effort. Not luck, not guessing, just daily commitment to a clear plan. That's how goals are achieved. That's how success is built. One simple step at a time. Number 4, review progress weekly and fix what isn't working. If you want your goal to become a reality, reviewing your progress weekly is not optional. It's necessary. Goals are not something you just set and forget. They need regular attention. A week gives you enough time to take action and also enough time to reflect. Without a review, you have no way of knowing whether you're improving or just staying busy. Sitting down once a week to look at what worked and what didn't keeps you honest. It brings awareness. You don't wait until it's too late to realize you were going in the wrong direction. You catch it early. Weekly reviews stop you from drifting. When you're focused on a goal but don't pause to measure results, you can fall into habits that feel productive but waste time. A review clears that up. You see the truth, not the illusion. You know if your steps are leading anywhere. You can see if you're being consistent or just active. The goal of the review is simple: stay on track and stay effective. That's the only way to make real progress. And the sooner you correct what isn't working, the faster you build momentum in the right direction. One of the smartest things you can do is ask yourself every week, what did I say I'd do? What did I actually do? And what needs to change? That kind of reflection keeps your focus sharp. It helps you face where you slipped, where you improved, and where adjustments are needed. It's not about guilt. It's about responsibility. If you're not checking your own progress, no one else will. Success doesn't come from hope. It comes from self-correction. Every week is a chance to improve, not by doing more, but by doing better. Fixing what isn't working requires humility. It means admitting that some part of your plan needs to change. That's not failure. That's wisdom. Sticking to a method that isn't delivering results will only waste time. Don't let pride get in the way of progress. If something didn't work, let it go. Try a better way. Stay flexible with your method, but committed to your outcome. This is how you get stronger. Not by forcing the same broken approach, but by learning, adapting, and improving your system step by step. A weekly review should be written down. Don't just think about it. Document it. Keep a log. Write what you did well. Write what held you back. Write what you're going to do differently next week. This practice creates clarity. You begin to see patterns. You begin to recognize what habits help and what habits hurt. You develop a sense of rhythm, a structure to your growth. That makes your path clearer. And when you see your notes stacking up over time, it gives you confidence. You're not guessing anymore. You're tracking real movement. Without a regular review, time slips through your fingers. You might work hard all month and realize you've been stuck in the same spot. That's why 7 days is the right window. It's long enough to test your effort, but short enough to course correct. You don't wait until the end of the month to find out you were off track. You catch it in 7 days. This kind of rhythm builds discipline. It reminds you that you are in charge of your results, not your routine. And it forces you to act with precision. During each review, don't just count what you completed. Dig deeper. Ask why things worked and why they didn't. Sometimes the problem isn't the action, it's your mindset. Maybe you procrastinated because the task wasn't clear. Maybe you avoided something because of fear or doubt. That's valuable information. When you understand the reason behind your actions, you become better at designing your next steps. You no longer repeat the same mistakes. You create better systems, tighter focus, and more effective habits that actually match your goal. It's also important to celebrate what went right. Your review is not just about fixing problems, it's about reinforcing progress. Even the small wins matter. Did you complete your tasks? Did you follow through on your plan? Did you stay focused when it got tough? Write it down. Give yourself credit. Progress grows when it's noticed. You build self-belief when you see your own improvement. That belief carries you into the next week with more energy, more clarity, and more purpose. It reminds you that you are capable of change. Some people avoid weekly reviews because they don't want to face the truth. But avoiding the truth doesn't make it disappear. It just delays growth. If you're serious about your goals, you must be willing to face the facts every week. Not every review will feel good. Some weeks you'll fall short. That's part of the process. The goal is not perfection. The goal is learning. You are not your mistakes. You are your response to them. Keep showing up. Keep learning. Keep adjusting. That's how you build a life that matches your highest standards. Progress isn't automatic. It's managed. And that management begins with reflection. If you review your progress every week and fix what isn't working, you stay in control. You stop drifting. You stop guessing. You make better decisions. You use your time wisely. And most importantly, you respect your own effort by holding it accountable. That's how strong people move. They don't just act, they evaluate. They improve as they go. That's what you must do if you truly want to reach your goal. Not once in a while, but every single week on purpose with purpose. Number 5. Finish what you start, no matter how long it takes. When you set a goal, the only thing that proves you meant it is whether you finish it. Starting is common. Following through is rare. That's where the real growth happens. In the part where most people quit. There's always excitement at the beginning. But once it gets hard, once it takes longer than expected, people drop out. That's why most goals never turn into anything. Not because people didn't try, but because they didn't finish. The mindset has to shift from, I'll try, to, I'll do it no matter what. That's when a goal becomes something you live, not just chase. There are always moments where it's tempting to walk away. You'll feel stuck. You'll question the effort. You'll wonder if it's even worth it. But if the goal mattered enough to start, then it deserves to be completed. It doesn't have to be fast. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it must be done. Quitting becomes a habit if you allow it, and every unfinished goal chips away at your confidence. You stop believing yourself. That's why it's not just about the goal. It's about who you become by finishing it, even when it's inconvenient or slow. Finishing what you start builds a kind of strength that nothing else can teach. You develop grit. You become someone who stays with something until it's done. That makes you dangerous in the best way. It means people can count on you, but more importantly, it means you can count on you. That trust is powerful. It follows you into every area of life. You walk differently when you know you're not the type to leave things half done. That quiet confidence doesn't come from words. It comes from work that gets completed. even when the feeling to quit shows up. Every meaningful goal will test your patience. It won't always go as planned. Some days you'll feel like you're making no progress. But the truth is, as long as you're moving forward, even slowly, you're still building something. Stopping resets the entire process. You'll lose momentum, you'll lose clarity, and starting over again and again drains your time. Progress is never perfect, but the ones who reach their goals are the ones who keep moving. Regardless of how they feel, they stay in it when others leave. And that staying power is what separates average effort from real achievement. Finishing a goal also teaches discipline. It forces you to say no to shortcuts. It asks you to stay focused when everything around you tries to pull you away. You'll miss out on some things, but what you gain is worth more. You gain follow-through. You gain completion. And when something is finished, it gives you more than results. It gives you proof. Proof that you can push through hard seasons. Proof that you have control over your choices. And that proof builds a mindset that becomes unstoppable over time. Nothing replaces the strength of completion. Don't chase too many goals at once. That's how people stay stuck. They start everything and finish nothing. Pick one, see it through, get the result, then build from there. The mind needs proof, not pressure. And the best proof you can give it is completion. Every goal you finish makes the next one more possible. You carry the lesson, you carry the mindset, and soon you're no longer wondering how long it'll take. You're just focused on making it happen. That's the difference between a goal being a dream and a goal becoming your reality. The timeline doesn't matter as much as the consistency. Don't compare your pace to anyone else. Some goals take longer than expected. That's okay. The real question is, are you showing up? Are you still committed? Are you still doing the work, even when progress feels invisible? That's what finishing looks like. It's quiet. It's not always exciting, but it's steady. You keep chipping away, and eventually the wall breaks. Not because of one big push, but because you never stop pushing. That's the truth. People don't talk about. Success is built in the part that looks boring. You owe it to yourself to finish the things you start. Not because everything has to be perfect, but because leaving things incomplete affects your self-worth. It lingers. It follows you. And over time it creates doubt. The solution is to decide early. No matter how long it takes, you'll finish. If it takes months, good. If it takes years, fine. Just don't stop. See it through. Do what you said you would do. That kind of decision removes pressure and replaces it with purpose. You're not rushing, you're committing. And that decision becomes the fuel when everything else fades. People give up because they're looking for the feeling to keep going. But feelings come and go. They're not reliable. Commitment is. And finishing is the proof of that commitment. You don't need to be the most talented. You don't need to be the fastest. You just need to be the one who refuses to quit. That person will always reach the finish line. Maybe not first, maybe not easily, but they'll get there. Because when you make finishing non-negotiable, you figure out how to keep going. Even when the path is hard, even when the motivation disappears. If you want to change your life through goals, don't just focus on starting them. Focus on completing them. That's where the transformation happens. That's where self-respect is built. That's where momentum is created. Finish what you start. Stay with it until the job is done. And watch how different your life begins to feel when your words match your actions. You'll stop needing approval. You'll stop needing motivation. You'll move with a kind of internal strength that comes from knowing deep down you always finish what you begin. That mindset is what turns goals into results. Every time. Number 6. Say no to things that don't move you forward. If you've set a goal, then every decision you make either brings you closer or pulls you away. It's not enough to just know what you want. You have to protect your time from anything that doesn't align with it. This is where many people fall short. They say yes to everything, hoping to please everyone. And before they know it, their schedule is full of things that lead nowhere. If it doesn't support your goal, it's a distraction. And distractions cost more than time. They cost focus, energy, and often the opportunity to create something meaningful for your life. There's power in the word no. It doesn't make you selfish. It makes you clear. If your time is filled with things that don't serve your direction, you're not progressing. You're drifting. You have to build the discipline to say no without guilt. Whether it's a casual invitation, a pointless task, or someone else's urgency that isn't yours, you must protect your space. People who stay stuck are often overcommitted. Not to the wrong goal, but to the wrong activities. You can't build a strong future if you're always pulled by what's unimportant. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't matter, you're saying no to your own priorities. That's the trade. And if you're not careful, you'll live your days being reactive instead of deliberate. You need to recognize which requests drain your momentum and make the decision to remove them. This isn't about being rude. It's about being responsible. Time is limited. Energy is limited. If you don't set clear boundaries, everything starts to look urgent. You can't let the unimportant steal space from the actions that build your actual progress. It's easy to underestimate how much time gets lost in small interruptions. A 5-minute conversation here, a quick scroll through your phone there, and suddenly an hour's gone. Those choices don't seem harmful in the moment, but they add up. If your day is filled with things that give you nothing in return, it's a signal to change your priorities. You need to take control of what gets your attention. When your calendar is filled with low-value tasks, your results will reflect that. Focus isn't something you hope for. It's something you choose every day. Setting a goal is a commitment to change, and change requires sacrifice. You will have to say no to comfort, to distractions, to obligations that don't belong to you. People may not understand at first. That's okay. You're not building your future for their approval. You're doing it to grow. You can't keep everyone happy and reach your full potential at the same time. At some point, you must choose, do you want ease or achievement? Saying no is hard, but staying stuck is harder. And the longer you delay your focus, the longer you delay your success. When you learn to say no to what doesn't matter, you create room for what does. Suddenly your schedule has space. Your mind becomes clearer. You start doing deeper work, not just more work. That's where results come from. Not by being everywhere, but by being present where it counts. You start protecting your mornings. You stop overcommitting your evenings. You become selective with who you give your time to. And that discipline changes how you feel about yourself. You're no longer running in circles. You're moving with purpose, and it shows in your progress. You don't need to explain your no. You don't owe anyone a justification for choosing your goals. Be respectful, be direct, and move on. People who care about your growth will understand, and those who don't aren't meant to guide your path anyway. You've got to be strong enough to let go of distractions disguised as opportunities. Every time you make a focused decision, you're one step closer to your result. And that's what matters. Not keeping everyone happy, but building a life that feels aligned with what you really want. Learning to say no also reveals your standards. What are you willing to allow in your day? What earns your attention? When you raise your standards, your time becomes more valuable. You stop chasing things that don't matter. You stop giving time to people who don't respect it. And you stop wasting hours on tasks that don't push you forward. Every goal comes with a cost. And that cost is often the things you once allowed without question. Now you begin to guard your hours like your life depends on it, because it does. The most successful people aren't the busiest. They're the clearest. They don't do more. They do what matters. And to do that, they've learned to say no quickly and confidently. They don't hesitate. They don't fear being misunderstood. They know their direction, and that direction protects their decision-making. That's the kind of discipline you need if you're serious about your goals. Saying yes to everything is easy, but it leads to burnout, regret, and a lack of progress. Saying no is harder, but it's the only way to create meaningful forward movement. If your life feels crowded, if your goal feels distant, start by looking at what you're agreeing to. What are you allowing that steals your time? What commitments are keeping you busy but not productive? The answer isn't to do more. The answer is to do less, but do it with precision. Say no to the tasks, the habits, and the distractions that offer no return. Protect your hours, honor your goal, and remember your future depends more on what you decline than what you accept. That's how you stay on track, by choosing your direction over everything else. Number 7, adjust the plan when needed, but don't quit. Every goal will come with setbacks. Plans don't always go the way you thought they would. That's normal. But just because the plan changes doesn't mean the goal has to. Many people give up too quickly. The moment something doesn't go as expected, they assume it's not meant for them. That's a mistake. Progress isn't about having a perfect strategy. It's about being flexible enough to make changes without walking away. When something doesn't work, you don't quit. You adjust. You ask better questions. You try new approaches. You look at what's missing and build again with more clarity and experience. The ability to adapt is what separates people who talk about success from those who actually create it. If you stick rigidly to a method that's clearly not delivering results, you'll waste time. But if you're quick to recognize what needs improving, and you change your approach without abandoning your commitment, you keep growing. The direction remains the same, but the path may shift. That's what smart people do. They test, they learn, they adapt. But they don't walk away from the goal just because the first attempt didn't work out as planned. You have to be willing to change your strategy without changing your commitment. This means checking your actions and asking if they're still effective. If they aren't, you redesign them. You don't make excuses. You make improvements. Many people don't realize that quitting often shows up disguised as taking a break or pausing to think. Before they know it, weeks go by. Progress stops. Momentum disappears. That's how dreams die. Slowly, quietly. But when you stay active and keep refining your approach, you stay in motion. And motion, even imperfect, builds results over time. You'll face moments where nothing seems to move. You're showing up, doing the work, but the outcome is missing. That's when most people lose motivation. But those moments are not the time to quit. They're the time to look at the process with sharper eyes. Ask what's not clicking. Look at what needs to be replaced. Sometimes it's the timing. Sometimes it's the tools. Sometimes it's your focus. It could be your schedule or the way you're tracking progress. Whatever it is, you fix it. You don't wait for it to fix itself. That's how you grow. Every adjustment you make teaches you something. It makes you more aware. It sharpens your decision-making. It helps you become more efficient with your effort. That's why failure isn't the enemy. Refusing to learn from it is. If something fails, you take the lesson and you keep going. But you must never let it convince you to walk away. The path is never straight. There are turns, setbacks, delays. That doesn't mean your goal is wrong. It means your process needs to be better. And improving the process while staying committed is how people finish what they started. You don't have to do everything right on the first try. That's a lie. People tell themselves so they don't have to continue. You just have to stay in the game. People overestimate how much they need to know to begin and underestimate how much they can figure out by staying consistent. Experience teaches more than theory ever could, but you only get experience by continuing, not by quitting. So if something isn't working, change it. If the system breaks, fix it. But whatever you do, don't throw away the goal because the method didn't work. Staying flexible keeps you from falling into frustration. When you believe there's only one way to reach your target, you'll panic the moment it fails. But when you understand that the plan is only a tool, not the truth, you learn to rebuild faster. Goals are long-term, methods are short-term. And sometimes you'll have to replace one method with 10 others before it finally clicks. That's part of the journey. Success isn't about knowing everything in advance. It's about not giving up when things go sideways. You adjust quickly. You act with urgency. You keep your vision strong. Progress often hides behind moments where you almost gave up. It's easy to stay excited when things are working. The test comes when they aren't. In those moments, the most valuable skill is your ability to keep going. Not blindly, but with reflection. You pause, evaluate, and shift your next move. You don't complain, you don't blame. You accept that part of this journey includes setbacks. And instead of quitting, you build a better version of the plan. That mindset keeps you strong. It keeps you focused, and it helps you move forward even when progress is slow. Don't confuse flexibility with weakness. Adjusting the plan doesn't mean lowering your standards. It means you care enough about the goal to find the most effective path to get there. It means you're committed to the result, not attached to the method. That's maturity. That's how people who build real results operate. They aren't distracted by ego. They're focused on progress. They'll try again smarter. They'll keep the goal in sight and allow the plan to evolve as needed. That balance of strength and flexibility builds something far stronger than speed. It builds endurance. When you choose a goal, make the decision now that quitting is off the table. From this point forward, your job is to find what works. When it breaks, fix it. When it slows, improve it. When it feels unclear, pause and refocus. But don't stop. The only way you fail is by giving up too early. And the only way you win is by staying long enough to find what works. Adjust the plan. Tweak the strategy. But stay locked on the destination. That's how you reach the finish line. By moving forward no matter how often the route changes. Number 8. Remind yourself every morning why this matters. Every morning you wake up, your mind is either focused or foggy. The difference often comes down to one habit. Reminding yourself why your goal matters. Not once, not when it feels good, but every single day. The reason most people drift back into old habits is because they forget what they're working for. The world is loud, full of distractions. And if you don't take control of your thoughts early, they'll be shaped by whatever shows up. Before you check your phone, before you start the day, you need to remind yourself why you started and what this is for. Purpose fades without repetition. No matter how important something is to you, if you don't bring it into focus daily, it starts to lose its urgency. Life has a way of pulling you into routines that feel familiar but go nowhere. That's why you need to bring your goal to the front of your mind every morning. You don't need to write a speech. You need to look yourself in the mirror and say, "This is what I'm after, and this is why I won't stop." That habit strengthens your decision and prepares your mind to act with direction. You can't rely on your mood to remind you. Motivation is inconsistent. It shows up when it wants. But discipline built from repeating what matters gives you something stronger than mood. When you remind yourself every morning, you're not just thinking about the goal, you're reconnecting with the reason behind it. That's the fuel. That's the fire that makes the hard work feel necessary instead of optional. You don't drift into consistency. You build it by putting your focus where it belongs. And that happens first thing in the morning. When your choices are fresh and your mind is open. People lose progress, not because the goal was too hard, but because they forgot how much they wanted it. They let small setbacks shrink their vision. That's why this habit is so important. You remind yourself what it costs to get started. You remind yourself what you're working toward. You remind yourself what life will feel like when this becomes real. That reminder builds pressure in the best way. It wakes you up. It gives meaning to the effort. It sharpens your thinking. Without it, you start just going through the motions. With it, you stay sharp. Every goal comes with days where you don't feel like doing anything. That's natural. But the way you handle those mornings decides everything. If you reach for comfort, the day slips by. But if you start by reconnecting to the reason behind your effort, something shifts. You move with intention. You don't look for shortcuts. You protect your time better. You handle challenges with a stronger attitude. That reminder each morning works like armor. It shields your mind from doubt. It gives your actions meaning. And when your actions feel meaningful, you stay committed longer. This isn't about rituals or routines that look good online. It's about getting real with yourself every day. It's about standing still for a moment and saying, "This matters more than what tries to distract me." That kind of clarity isn't given. It's created. Created by reminding yourself why this isn't just another task. It's a step towards something better. When you do this daily, you no longer live by reaction. You move with a reason, and people with reasons don't quit easily. They don't waste time. They don't chase everything. They stay locked in on what they chose to build. If your mind isn't trained to focus, it will wander toward whatever is easiest. That's why your first thoughts matter. You don't leave them to chance. You shape them. You decide what the morning is about. You wake up and remind yourself why it's worth it. The reminder doesn't need to be loud. It needs to be true. A sentence, a goal, a picture, a note, whatever pulls your heart back into alignment, whatever brings your intention into the light. That small act makes you mentally stronger. It makes you harder to knock off course. You can't let the world set your mindset. You must take control before the noise begins. That's why this habit matters more than people realize. You're not just fighting distractions. You're training your brain to remember. Remember who you are. Remember what you said you would do. Remember why this goal isn't just a good idea. It's a personal standard. When you do that every morning, you become harder to shake. You build a level of clarity that shows up in the way you speak, the way you move, and the way you finish what you start. Every person who reaches something great had moments where they could have stopped. They didn't keep going because it was always exciting. They kept going because their reason was stronger than the resistance. That kind of strength doesn't come naturally. It's built by repeating what matters until it becomes part of how you think. That's what this habit does. It hardwires your reason into your behavior. And when your behavior is aligned with your goal, progress becomes a byproduct. You don't need to force it. You just keep showing up because you remember why it's worth it. Start your day with a reminder of your reason. Speak it, read it, write it. Just don't forget it. Because the world won't remind you why your goal matters. It will distract you, delay you, and pull you away. That's why it's your job to stay close to your why. That one decision each morning could be the reason you follow through on the tough days. It could be the difference between almost and done, between drifting and building, between quitting and finally changing your life for good. Keep your reason close, and you stay on the path. Number 9, do the hard part first, no matter how you feel. The way you start your day shapes everything. If the first thing you do is avoid the hardest task, you've already chosen weakness over discipline. It doesn't matter how motivated you are or how many goals you've set. What matters is how you act when it's uncomfortable. That's why doing the hard part first is a rule that can't be ignored. It sets your tone. It sends a message to yourself that you're not driven by mood or convenience. You act with purpose. The moment you avoid the hard task, you start building the habit of hesitation that breaks momentum. Most people wait for the right feeling to take on the difficult part, but feelings are unstable. They're unreliable. Waiting for the right mood before doing something hard is like waiting for permission to grow. It won't come. You have to decide that effort leads and emotion follows. The hard task might be intimidating. It might be boring. It might be something you've been avoiding. But it's also the thing that moves you forward. And by doing it first, you free up mental space. You stop carrying stress all day from tasks left undone. Avoidance drains energy. You may think putting off the hard part gives you relief, but it actually increases pressure. It sits in the back of your mind, reminding you that you still haven't faced it. That stress adds up. Your attention splits. Your productivity drops. You feel distracted without knowing why. But the moment you complete the toughest part early, your focus sharpens. You feel in control. You don't waste energy managing delay. You use that energy to build momentum. That's how real progress begins, by facing discomfort early and moving through it before it grows into resistance. Doing the hardest task first creates a shift in how you see yourself. You begin to view yourself as someone who takes responsibility before comfort. That identity is powerful. It shapes how you respond to challenges. Instead of shrinking when something looks difficult, you lean in. You stop needing motivation. You rely on self-respect. The task might not get easier, but you become stronger. And the more you repeat this habit, the less power discomfort has over your decisions. That's how you grow, by showing up to the hard part before you've even had the chance to talk yourself out of it. Starting with the most difficult part also prevents distraction from creeping in. When your day begins with low-effort tasks, your brain stays in low gear. You scroll, you bounce between items, and you confuse movement with progress. But when you lock in on the most demanding task right away, you raise your mental state. You set a standard for the rest of your day. Everything else becomes easier by comparison. That's how people get ahead. They don't wait for clarity or inspiration. They train themselves to take the first real step before the noise begins. It's not about rushing. It's about taking charge of what matters most. You don't need to finish everything before noon, but you do need to attack the thing that builds the most forward motion. That's the task that should be done first. Not the easiest, not the most convenient, the most important. The one you'd rather put off. Because the more often you delay it, the more power it gains. You break that cycle by flipping the script. You act before comfort. You decide before fear. You choose effort before ease. That's what builds internal strength. This discipline also clears your head. Once the toughest item is done, the rest of your day feels lighter. You don't carry guilt. You don't feel behind. You've already done the work that counts. That confidence shows up in your posture, your focus, and your results. You start walking into each day with a plan instead of reacting to what comes. That kind of control isn't found by chance. It's earned by choosing to do what matters most before doing what feels good. And over time, that choice becomes your default setting. If you keep waiting for the task to feel easier, you'll wait forever. Some things don't get easier. You just get better at starting. That's the difference between people who stay stuck and people who grow. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's the ability to begin without comfort. The people who win long-term are the ones who choose to move, even when it's inconvenient. They understand that the reward lives on the other side of effort, and they don't need to feel good to do good work. They just begin. That choice compounds daily. Every time you avoid the hard part, you teach your mind that quitting is acceptable. You lower your standard. You create a version of yourself that depends on ideal conditions. But when you do the hard part first, you train a new identity, one that values progress over pleasure, strength over ease. That identity follows you into every challenge. You stop fearing hard things. You embrace them. You look at them and say, I've done this before, and I'll do it again. That mindset doesn't come from reading or planning. It comes from doing the real work early. Start your day with what builds you. Choose the task that feels heavy. Face it head on before anything else. That single choice has the power to separate your days into average or exceptional. This isn't about being perfect. It's about becoming someone who follows through, no matter how they feel. That's the kind of person who reaches their goals, not because they always had the answers, but because they kept showing up, especially when it was uncomfortable. That's the habit. Do the hard part first. Let it shape your day, and soon, it'll shape your life. Number 10. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Just begin now. Most people are waiting for the right day, waiting for a clear mind, waiting for things to feel easier. But the truth is, the conditions you're hoping for don't exist the way you think they do. There will always be something in the way, something to fix, something to prepare, something to organize. The idea that everything will someday be perfect is just a delay disguised as planning. If you're serious about making progress, the only time that counts is now. You don't need perfect. You need to act with what you have. That's how real results begin. The habit of waiting becomes a trap. You tell yourself you'll start after the weekend, after you read one more thing, after life slows down. But time doesn't slow down for you. It keeps moving. And while you wait, opportunities slip by. While you plan, others are building. While you hesitate, someone else takes your place. Starting now means letting go of the excuse that you need to be ready. You don't. You need to move. Not with perfection, but with purpose. Every action you take now is worth more than every plan you'll never follow through on. There's a kind of clarity that only comes from doing. You can prepare for months, study every detail, and still feel unsure. But the moment you begin, you start learning what really matters. That learning doesn't happen in your head. It happens in motion, by showing up, by trying, by failing and adjusting. You can't think your way into confidence. You earn it by taking the first step, and then the next. No conditions will ever feel ideal. Life is messy, but growth happens when you move anyway. Even if it's slow, even if it's imperfect. People who wait for perfect conditions rarely begin. And even when they do, they often stop quickly. Why? Because they built a mindset that only moves when everything is smooth. The slightest problem throws them off. But those who start early, without needing everything to be just right, develop strength. They learn to adapt. They stop needing the environment to change and begin changing themselves. You can build that same strength. You don't need to fix everything around you first. You don't need more time or better timing. You need to commit. Today, progress is built by those who are willing to be messy in the beginning. Your first effort won't be your best. Your process will feel awkward. You'll doubt your pace. That's normal. What's not okay is staying stuck because you're afraid it won't look good. The people who reach goals don't care if the first step looks rough. They care that it was taken. You don't need confidence to begin. You need courage. The more you act, the more things make sense. What felt unclear becomes clear in motion. What felt too big becomes manageable by showing up. Perfection is often a way to delay responsibility. It gives you a reason not to take risks. But that safety comes at a cost. It costs time, growth, and momentum. You don't improve by staying still. You improve by testing, adjusting, and learning as you go. Nothing you want is waiting for perfect. It's waiting for consistent action. And consistency doesn't need perfection. It needs discipline. You won't find your rhythm on day one. You won't feel confident right away. But if you wait for the perfect moment, you'll miss every chance to build those things over time. Your environment doesn't need to change before you act. You don't need permission. You don't need more tools, more time, or more support. You need to start with whatever you have. Right now, that small start leads to a better strategy. That better strategy leads to better results. And the cycle continues. But it can't start unless you do. You can revise along the way. You can upgrade later. But the foundation only gets laid when you stop waiting and start doing. It won't feel comfortable. But comfort was never the goal. Progress is start with what you've got, no matter how small it feels. Don't worry if it's incomplete. Don't hold back because you can't see the whole path. Just get moving. Direction is more important than speed. You can always adjust your pace. But if you never take that first action, nothing changes. One step today creates more clarity than 100 plans tomorrow. The first effort, however messy, is better than none. Make the call. Write the page. Take the walk. Begin. You'll learn faster, grow quicker, and build real momentum by moving while others wait. People admire progress, but few understand the price. It doesn't come from having perfect conditions. It comes from stepping forward even when everything feels uncertain. That's the test. That's the choice. Begin before you feel ready. Begin before it all makes sense. The earlier you start, the more time you give yourself to improve. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to break free from the habit of hesitation. Don't wait for the stars to align. Align your actions with your intention. That's how your future is built. One imperfect step at a time. This is your chance to take control. Not later, now. Don't look for guarantees. Don't search for approval. Just begin. Start the habit. Start the change. Start the project. It doesn't need to be big. It doesn't need to be flawless. It just needs to begin. From there, everything starts to shift. Your mindset sharpens. Your confidence builds. Your results appear, not because everything was perfect, but because you acted when it wasn't. That's what separates the achievers from the dreamers. One chose to wait. The other chose to move. Choose to move. Today, now you know the steps. Real goals aren't just dreams. They're built through clarity, structure, and daily action. It's not enough to say you want something. You have to know exactly what it is, why it matters, and what you're willing to do every single day to earn it. No more waiting. No more vague promises. From this point forward, take responsibility for where you're going. Set the goal, break it down, review it often, do the hard part, and finish what you start. If you follow these steps consistently, your results won't be a surprise. They'll be a reflection of your discipline. This is your life. Don't leave your direction to chance. Start with a clear goal and take full control of the journey. You've got everything it takes. Now put it to work. And remember, success doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who begin.